Alvin York is best known as a Tennessean who was famous for his activities during World War I, but I'd like to focus on his home today. The site starts, you visit an old general store, that's their visitor center today, with some interpretive panels and displays in their gift shop. Check in, purchase a ticket if you want to go inside the home, but if you just want to walk around the grounds, it's a Tennessee State Park, so that's all free. But the home, Alvin York grew up very poor in a rural area of Tennessee, and when he came back from the war, this war hero, the people of Tennessee felt kind of bad for him, and the Rotary Club of Nashville took up money and got a farm in the valley and constructed this big house, which he moved into in the 1920s. There was some confusion about how free or not free this house was, which caused some financial difficulties for the family later on. As you enter through the front door of the house, you're greeted by the family's piano and a picture of Alvin and his wife and two of the certificates that go with his highest ranking medals, one from the U.S. and one from France. And it just really shows you what the house is all about. I love the front door on this house. I don't know why I love it so much, but I just love the 20s vibe. There's actually a bullet hole in the front of it from when one of the York kids was playing with a gun that went off in the study. To the right of the entranceway is the family's living room. Through those columns is a sunroom that becomes the York's family bedroom. This was a big spot for entertainment and people coming to visit Mr. York. In the bedroom is one of the earliest medical beds, commercial medical beds that was available. And the painting behind the bed was painted by his daughter, and it shows the house as it would have looked before the big double front porch was added on. This room just screams charm. To the left of the living room is the dining room. All the furniture in the house is actually original. The house was lived in by the families and the descendants until the 1980s, when the Tennessee State Park System took it over, and the family's still very involved in the interpretation. There is a little office to the other side of the vestibule. This chair was my favorite thing in there, and I like the ceilings in this house, the way they covered it up. As you go back into the entryway, see the picture again, you go upstairs, and then there's several bedrooms upstairs, and they again all have their original furnishings and textiles. My favorite thing in the house is what they called a popcorn quilt. I've never seen one like this before, and I like quilts, and I was a little bit obsessed. But all the rooms are shown as they would have looked when the family was living there. The family was in and out at different times. One of the sons was in the military in Germany, and so the house is kind of interpreted from the time that the Yorks moved in to the time it became a museum. The kitchen they're still working on, but one of my favorite parts in the kitchen is Mrs. York was a little bit afraid of people breaking in, and she used knives in the doors as like security locks. So she'd wedge them up between the woodwork and the door to keep things closed. There's still an extensive amount of the original farm left that the Yorks had, and they do a lot of World War I interpretation here on this site. And it was really cool to finally get to see the trench that they built for the centennial of America's involvement in World War I. And you can just see how beautiful the valley and the mountains are. But this trench was a big undertaking. They have a lot of World War I interpretive events here. They have biplanes land. They have vintage baseball groups. They just really focus on that World War I aspect of Mr. York, but this recreation is just beautiful. When I was the curator at Belmead Plantation, I made a little version of an interpretive trench all on my own on the property, but this is much nicer than what I was able to construct by myself. But they even have a little officer's quarters, and it's just really well done, and I really enjoyed seeing this. There's also an old York family mill, and you can, in the summertime, go swimming down at it. And it's just a beautiful building. It sets up on these huge pylons of stone, and you can go in and look all through the mill if you want to. A lot of the original mill equipment is still there, and it's all labeled to kind of help you figure it out. Many of you may know Mr. York from his movie that Gary Cooper was in right in the 1940s before America entered World War II. But he used the funding from that he got to build a Bible college or a Bible school on his property, which is in pretty bad shape right now. But you can still go by and see it. They do open it up, but it's mostly boarded up. But this building has so much potential, and it was just really cool to get to go in and see. And I'm glad that they are working towards preserving this building. Mr. York has a huge legacy. He was involved in the CCC. He started schools. He did all kinds of cool things for the Pall Mall, Middle Tennessee area. And I just think he's a really pretty awesome guy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know. And thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.